The next video is going to be about arithmetic sequence summation. There are actually two formulas that you could use. Both of these you should write on your formula sheet. I actually use both depending on the situation. Down here is the same problem written three different ways. If we look at the first one, there's a sequence. It's arithmetic. It's going up by 2. And I want to find the sum of the first 10 numbers. That's what that big S and that 10 means. You can use either formula. For this one, I think I might lean towards using the second one because I can easily see what A sub 1 is. And I can see that the D value is 2, and I need the sum of the first 10 numbers. So it's pretty easy to substitute in. So if I plug in, I want the sum of the first 10 numbers. N is 10. And I'll do 2 times the first term, which we see as a 1. Again, just substituting into this formula. Plus 2, which is my D value, 10 minus 1. I can type that straight in on my calculator, or I can do it in my head. 10 divided by 2 is 5. In parentheses, 2 times 1 is 2. This would be 2 times 9, which is 18. 2 plus 18 is 20. 20 times 5 is 100. So the sum of the first 10 numbers is 100. Now, they could have also written it like this. A sub n equals 2n minus 1. That's how you could find each term. Maybe they didn't list them all out, but they gave you the formula to find each term. I mean, you could plug a 1 in. 2 times 1 minus 1 is 1. 2 times 2 minus 1 is 3, and see that those are the numbers that they give you. This says find the 10th partial sum. So again, we are trying to find the sum of the first 10 numbers. I could list them all out and add them all up, or maybe this time I'd like to use this formula, since it would be pretty easy to find the first term and the last term, which in this case would be the 10th, because I want the 10th partial sum. So if I'm doing this problem, I would do the sum of the first 10 numbers. Better slide this up. Again, n is 10. And I would need the first term. And to find the first term, I plug in a 1. 2 times 1 minus 1 is 1. I'd also need the 10th term. If I look here, a sub 10, I'd need the 10th term, so I'll plug a 10 in. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 minus 1 is 19. And I would have 5 times 20, oops, sliding off the page here, equals 100 again. So I get the same thing, same problem, I should get the same answer. This one here is just another way of writing it in this way. I want the sum of the first 10 numbers. Again, I could find all 10 and add them up. Or I can easily find the first term and the last term and use this formula up here. So again, for this one, it'd be sum of the first 10 numbers. 10 over 2. To find the first term, plug in a 1. 2 times 1 minus 1 is 1. To find my 10th term, plug in a 10. 2 times 10 minus 1 is 19. So then I would have 5 times 20 again, which is 100. So regardless of how they write it, whether they list the numbers out and ask you to find the sum of the first so many, or they give you the formula to find one and they write 10th partial sum, or they write the fancy math shortcut or hieroglyphics, as some people call it, symbols here that mean the same thing. So let's go over some examples that you could see in your homework. Example 1, they could say, find the 10th partial sum, so we'll do 10th. It won't always be 10. I'm just using that so I can get some easy numbers right now of the arithmetic sequence from here. Well, I tend to use the first shorter formula myself. I'll write that down again. And because I can easily find the first and the 10th term or the last term. So partial sum, I want the first 10 numbers, so I'll plug 10 in for n. My first term, I plug in a 1. 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5. To find my 10th term, I do 3 times 10, which is 30, plus 2 is 32. So then I would have 5 times 37 which gives me 185. Now, if you're sitting here going, oh no, I don't like that formula, I like to use the other formula, well, you should get the same answer. I'm going to remove it. Actually, maybe I'll put it up top here. The other formula, let me get it written down. Looks like this. Let's substitute it in. 10 is my n, so I'll have 10 over 2. I don't see the first term, so I have to plug it in. 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5, so I'd have 2 times 5. The reason a lot of people don't like this one for this particular problem is you can't see the d real easily. I will let you know if it's arithmetic. D is the kind of like the slope, what its rate of change, what it's going up by. It's 3 actually in this problem. If you don't believe me, you can start making a list of the numbers. If you plug in a 1, you get 5. If you plug in a 2, you get 8. If you plug in a 3, like 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, you can see it goes up by 3. And let's go back up here. I'm finding the 10th partial sum. So then I would have a 5 here. This is 10. This is 3 times 9, which is 27. So I'd have 5, 10, plus 27. And again, I'd have 5 times 37, which is the 185 again. Good. So that is example 1. You have a couple like that. Now, this is what I'd like to show you. Math prizes. I plan on giving a $5 math bonus to the highest score on the first test. So if I read that, I will immediately write a sub 1 is 5. If I increase the bonus by 350 each time, that means I'm going up, or my common difference is 350. What will the 11th prize is? Well, this is not summation. I'm not asking about how much money total. I'm just saying what is the 11th prize. So I'm actually finding a sub 11. So I'm going to go back and use our formula to find a specific term. Let me jot that down for you, or you have your formula sheet. This is the formula to find a specific term, and I need the 11th. So I'm going to plug in a 5 for a sub 1. I'm going up by 3, and I want the 11th term. So for this particular one, I'd have 5 plus 3 times 10, which is 5 plus 30, which is 35. So on the 11th test, the person with the highest score will get 35 bucks. But now it says, how much will the 11th prize be, and how much will I have to give all together? Now I'm talking summation. For this one, since I clearly have what I'm giving on the first test and what I'm giving on the final or the last test that I'm summing, I'm definitely going to go and use that shorter formula because I have all my information. You can, again, use the other one, which let me slide down. This one up here. First test, again, is 5, going up by, oh, pardon me, it's going up by 350, and this teacher wrote 3. Oh, heavens. Let me go back. I apologize. This should be 350. And if you did 350, oh, heavens, 350 times 10, you'd get 35, plus the 5 is 40. Hell my, somebody was about ready to get ripped off 5 bucks. I apologize. Please note the D was 350, not 3. So again, we'll go back here. Let's do our sum of the first 11 prizes. So I'll put 11 over 2. Our first prize was 5. Our last prize was 40. So I'll have 5.5 times my 45 for this one. So I'll have, let's get our calculator out and check that out. I'm going to do 5.5 times 45 and find that I'm going to need $247.50 altogether. And that's the end.